Welcome to Getting Down to Business. I'm Ashley Curtis, Career Counselor and Internship Coordinator with the Muma College of Business.
And I'm Jill Brown, Academic and Career Advisor with the Muma College of Business as well. And today we have two members of USF St. Pete Campus Student Government, Sean Schrader and Conde DaCosta. And they are going to introduce themselves as well as the wealth of opportunities that student government can add to any student's portfolio.
Well, thank you so much. It's really great to be here today, and it's really exciting to have the chance to talk with you all. I'm Sean Schrader. I have the really exciting opportunity to serve as the campus governor in our student government. I graduated in May with my bachelor's degree in business management, and I'm excited to be back here at the Muma College of Business pursuing my MBA. And we're just really excited in student government to be back on the ground. I mean, the energy and enthusiasm here on this campus is really high. Students want to get engaged and they want to get involved. It's just really special to be part of that.
Woohoo! And that's what this episode is all about, is reeling them in for this engagement, right?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you guys for having us. My name is Conde DaCosta. I'm a second year here at USF St. Pete. My major is finance. I'm a senator in student government, as well as the secretary of the Black Student Association here on campus.
Fantastic.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for both being here. First question we're going to ask is, do you have a favorite quote or mantra that inspires you? Conde, I'll start with you.
Okay, so for me, my favorite mantra is always tell yourself yes. Like, don't be the one to say no. There's an opportunity out there that you think you'd be good at, like anything, like a club. Don't be the first one to say no.
Yep, there's plenty of other people that are going to tell you no. So definitely don't do that to yourself.
Yeah, well, that's really great. It's sort of similar to yours, and that is, you might as well ask whether that be to meet with somebody here in Tampa Bay in the business or professional setting, think about hosting a new event, think about a new kind of partnership or collaboration, because the worst that someone can come back and say is no. And there's always that thing in the back of your mind of, if you didn't ask that, what would the outcome have been? You never would know.
All right. We're going to play a little word association game with you all. So we're going to fire a word, just whatever pops into your head, and we'll bounce off each of you. So Sean, we'll start with you. Professionalism.
I think a lot of it starts with networking and staying engaged. And that can be kind of tricky, but I think networking is a great way to do it and make new connections.
Definitely.
Great. Conde, excellence.
Excellence. I think for excellence, I would say gratitude.
Nice.
Always being grateful for something, always being appreciative of what you have.
I love that. Thanks.
Community.
Volunteering, I think, is great. And, you can do it in a lot of different ways, but it can just be so helpful to volunteer. And a lot of times, too, just to help make a positive mark on the community. I mean, we have so many of these huge challenges we face as a collective group, but if we all take small steps, it helps make a difference.
And I just heard that we're partnering with Habitat for Humanity.
We are.
Yeah.
Yes,
So we can dive into that later.
Yeah.
I know, but when we're talking about community, so.
Love that. And Conde, leadership.
Okay. For leadership, I'm going to say listening. Sorry. Sometimes people think that, a good leader just tells people to do stuff. But it's also important to listen to what your team members are saying, listen to different perspectives and just understand everyone's point of view.
It's another L word that's very important. Yes.
There was a great quote that was shared at an event by the VP of the Rowdies, and it was, you have 2 ears and one mouth. Use them proportionately. And I love that because I think it emphasizes how important listening is. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Now, let's get down to business.
Okay. Let's do it.
Sean, tell me a little bit about what is the mission and vision behind student government?
Well, the main goal of student government is really to be the voice for students on campus. And so I've tried to respect that ratio a little bit as much as I can when I'm on campus. But the main thing is making sure that we're advocating for our students and really being a voice for them. I mean, because I tell students all the time, that they are my boss. I mean, that's really how it goes with any kind of elected position you have. And so this year, we're really focused on 3 key areas. Of course, you already mentioned community connectedness is a big one. Giving students a voice through, whether that be advocating for them in our student services, student assets we have on campus, things like that, as well as, focusing on our environment and sustainability and really making sure we're protecting the St. Pete campus and, the really good ecosystem we have.
All right. Thank you.
Anything you want to add?
Just to add on to what Sean was saying, I guess one thing that drew me to this campus, St. Pete, was sustainability and how important it is here. I think that's a great thing as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Talk to our listeners who can join and what's the process.
Okay, so anyone can join student government. Like Sean said, it's we're representing the students' voices. So obviously, students can join. We want to hear from the students.
Right.
So if you want to get involved on campus, if you want to make an impact, like if you have an idea, you can talk to anyone about joining student government. It's really easy. It's not a hard application process. Just a few stuff, but anyone can join student government.
And where's the application?
We can find it online on the student government's website.
Okay.
And we can also go in office. Sometimes they have printed election packets. You can pick one up, fill that out, and hand it back in before the deadline.
For new students, where's the office?
So the office would be in the SLC, which is the Student Life Center,
Thank
here
you.
on the St. Pete campus. It's SLC 1500, so it's right across from the OMA office, and it's pretty easy to find. It has student government on the wall, so yeah.
Yeah, and I would add too, beyond traditional means of getting involved, running for an elected position, trying to be a cabinet member, within an executive level, things of that nature. We've really thought about how can we, transition away from just that for students that are very busy and maybe don't have that kind of commitment. I mean, they have other jobs, have classes. So this has, been under wraps for a while. I'm very excited to announce we have been working to create different advisory boards and task forces on this campus. The first one is an advisory board for the University Student Center, which will give students a chance to be a board member to help advocate for changes that are going to be coming to that center over the next few years. And it's pretty cool. It gives them a chance to learn how a board operation runs, but also to really have a direct say in the future of that great place on campus.
Yeah.
I love that. So you're getting into my next question. Can you talk to us a little bit about the structure of student organization, and then what are the different services that the organization provides the campus?
Yeah, well, it really kind of depends on, which area you're looking at. So, we are a consolidated student government. When USF consolidated several years ago, so did the student government. So there's a president and a vice president. They oversee all three of our campuses. Then there's a governor on each campus. And the governor really mimics the role of a president, just on a smaller scale. So in the role, you have a cabinet of different folks, about 7 or 8 people that focus on different things, whether that be events coordination, being a chief of staff, finance, things of that nature that have different skill sets. But I'm sure Conde can talk about a little more from the Senate side. That's more, of our legislative side. And we have our campus council, which focuses on budgeting allocations and things like that, just solely for the specific campus they're on.
Yeah. So for legislative, like Sean mentioned, you have senators and you have campus council. And the way I think about it is that they're the ones that are speaking to the students. Obviously, the governor and the president and vice president, they talk to them as well. But since it's legislative, they're the ones writing the bills. They're the ones reaching out. So I feel like there's a bit more involvement. Students are kind of drawn to them in a way because they're the ones that you see the most.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. When a new student joins, what are they considered? Do you have to be a part of student government for a certain period of time? Do you have to attend so many meetings? What makes you an active member?
Well, I guess it depends on just making sure you fulfill the duties of the position, just because there's so many different kinds of positions, whether it's an elected position or, more of an appointed position. But everybody's pretty much the same. It was great. We were able to carpool together last year to, meetings when I was a senator. And I was, an older senator and she was a newer senator. And, there's no kind of division at all, which is great.
Yeah, Sean was kind of my mentor in a way.
Nice.
I remember when I first started, we had a tabling event and he was the only one there. And I was like, oh, hi, I'm new. Can you tell me something? And he kind of helped me out. And we just grew a relationship from there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I want to kind of dive into that. you were new
Mhm.
and all of a sudden, I mean, how did this open doors for you? Like, how did this change you joining student government?
Student government. So how did it change me? I would say it made me a bit more. Well, let me just start off by saying I was always interested in being involved.
Mhm.
Like, I would like to say I'm inquisitive. I genuinely want to learn more. I want to know more about what's going on. I think it's important for every student to have an idea of what goes on campus.
Mhm.
So that's one of the main reasons that drew me to student government. Like, I like to take the initiative to know what's going on, just be in the background and know what's happening.
So, two-part question in a sense, either. What types of events and activities, which we started to get into, does student government either sponsor or get involved with?
Well, it's really cool. Last year was a little challenging to do it with everything with the pandemic still going on. But this year we really tried to jump right in. So, what was really cool, I approached Ashley earlier this year about, because I'm a business student, a lot of people in student government are not business. So it's kind of unique. And I thought, wouldn't it be really cool if we could connect two facets of USF together? And we had an event. It was a great event with the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Mhm.
And that was really cool to bring people together. So we've tried to think a little bit outside of the box of traditional events. And so, like, as you mentioned earlier, community connectedness is really important. So we've also partnered with Habitat for Humanity. Then we're also really excited to be partnering with the city of St. Petersburg. It's pretty nice. And it's a cool way, again, to try and change that, perception students might have of student government only being, centered on certain activities.
Mhm.
But outside of that, some relaxed or fun activities we have game nights for students. We also had a pool party. We had a luau last semester. It's just a way for students to just meet and connect. Even though you're not in student government or you don't have to be in student government, you can always attend because it's open to all students. It's a great way for them to come together, learn their other schoolmates, classes on campus, stuff like that.
Resources, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, the exposure that you're gaining by becoming a member is pretty heavy.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I was curious, what times are the meetings typically?
Well, it depends on what kind of thing it is. So the Senate, they meet at 6:00 on Tuesdays in Tampa. So it's kind of a drive. We all know the Tampa Bay traffic. That's why we'd like to carpool
We're going to drone drop people soon.
I hope.
So.
Fingers crossed, right? But you can also attend that kind of meeting virtually just to explore what's going on.
I was going to ask.
We have cabinet meetings and stuff in our executive level and our within student government, for the governor's cabinet and everything. Those are more individualized. Those usually aren't open to the public. Students can attend, but we try and base it on everybody in our cabinet. It's so busy anyway. It's hard to find the time. But I would say for any students just interested in seeing student government from the 30,000-foot view to begin with, attending a Senate meeting would be a great way to do that.
I think so too.
Okay.
Love that. Now, I happen to see, I believe you have an upcoming election. Is that correct? And I think there's a couple of positions open. Can you tell us a little bit about those positions and then who's eligible to apply?
Yeah, I believe the application period just ended. So hopefully some students watching, maybe they applied. But if not, don't worry. There's still time for the spring. So typically the elections are run on a two-part process. There's midterm elections, sort of like what it mirrors what we have in our country in the United States. But with the midterm election, that is for senators and campus council members only. So if somebody wants to be a midterm senator or be a campus council member, they have that opportunity to do that. And then we have our general election in the spring. So that's where everything's on the ballot. Governor, president, senator, and campus council.
Are they one-year positions then? Is that okay?
Wonderful.
I was just thinking as I was listening to another podcast episode, and we were talking about skills, right? And obviously, student government can assist a student with leadership, communication, time management. And I guess we talk about how important they are, but I want students to maybe get a better feel for how they can actually develop those skills that we're talking about that companies are always looking for through student government.
I'm glad that you brought those up because I was thinking about that earlier today. I was like, how do I like not necessarily do it all, but how do I do it all? Like how do I balance like my schedule? Like I have a job, I have student government, I have other organizations, and I have 5 classes on top of that. So
Not busy at all, are
yeah.
you?
Yeah. So student government it does help with time management and being organized as well.
Mm-hmm.
It also helps with team building because you're not the only person in your position. You have other people that you're working with. So it helps you to know how to work on a team, how to listen to other person's perspectives. Because, we have bills and stuff that we write as well. It's all about helping the students.
So hard communication in the sense of writing
Yeah.
and proofing and editing. Okay.
Yes.
No, keep going. I don't.
Oh, no. I think that was about it. Like helps with time management, balance, organization. But an honorable mention, I would say, is critical thinking and analysis. Because when you really get down to, like, how are we going to go about doing this? Then that's when it really, like, sits
Breaking
in.
it into
Yeah.
manageable, actionable items
Yes.
to accomplish. Do you want to add anything about skills and what student government can help a student develop in that professionalism that we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, I think all of that was great. I'd repeat everything she just said, but I think a big one is network. I mean, it has been incredible to get to know so many different leaders here at USF. I mean, to get to have opportunities multiple times to meet with President Rhea Law for different things, to have the chance to meet with Bill McCausland, who's our Alumni Association, executive director, things like that. It's really cool. And these are high level officials. I mean, they're celebrities here at USF. And so to get the chance to talk with them, it can be very exciting and it's cool. I mean, with all of the different things everybody's working on, to get that chance to network and to be able to almost give an elevator pitch, so to speak, of, what's important to you right now. You have this limited window to really get your point across. And what should these leaders, be focused on from your perspective?
Sean, and I want to ask you, because I really want to commend you. I think you are someone who I've gotten to see is really good at taking those initiatives with networking. And I think that's something that a lot of students struggle with. And so if you could give our listeners maybe a tip that you think about when you're in those situations, right? Because just because those situations are presented where you have the opportunity to meet, President Rhea Law or the chancellor doesn't necessarily mean people always take those opportunities. So what is a piece of advice that you would give someone who's not necessarily as finessed in their networking skills?
Yeah, well, that's great. And it's scary. I mean, I can feel my hands shake sometimes when you're going up to stuff like that, because you're like, these are people that are, very well known. I mean, in so many circles all over Tampa Bay. And it really goes back to what we talked about earlier of the thing I've really tried to develop, which is hard sometimes for me to follow that advice, though, is just asking or going up to somebody to introduce yourself. Because again, the worst that somebody can say is no, or I don't want to talk to you or something. I hope that wouldn't happen. But and it's really cool though too, in the sense that sometimes you find stuff in common that you didn't think was possible. For example, I went up to President Law. I saw her a few months ago, and I read it in an article a while back how she has a love for cars. So I asked her, I said, do you have a USF license plate yet? Because I just got one. I'm very excited about it. And we're able to have a discussion about a license plate. And similarly, I saw the chancellor last night, and she was telling me about how she just got her custom USF license plate for USF St. Pete in the mail. So it's a small thing you get to connect over, but it's some kind of common ground you share, which is neat.
That's great. Thank you.
There's so much that you're bringing up in the sense, because it's not even just talking with them, though. You're actually going to work with the president and the chancellor and the mayor and some other high-level executives in a sense. And so that's great experience and exposure, like we were talking about. And then what you brought up about finding a commonality, that's important. You did research. You didn't say it, but that's, and for our students, this is the type of thing. When you're going to go to a job fair, we've talked about research, you find the company that you're interested in, get to know them a little bit, dig further than the mission, vision, values, or who we are about statement, right? Like try to find something about them on LinkedIn or look for a recent TED Talk that they've done or anything to find that similarity and have an actual human conversation that doesn't have to be all business because it is so scary. And then just get them talking, right?
Yeah.
Did you have something you wanted to add?
No, I just wanted to say that I learned a lot from that like small conversation. You know, it's not always, you don't always have to focus on the business aspect.
Right.
Like, they are humans as well. You
And-
talk about the small things too.
Right.
Yeah.
Has student government helped you to build up some confidence
Oh,
to have
yes,
these
definitely.
conversations now?
Yes, definitely. Because, like I mentioned before, I work in the business building.
Hmm.
So we had the State of the Union, and Ria was there, and I was like, oh my gosh. I'm seeing her in person. And she came up to me. Like, I didn't even go to her. She came up to me. I was like, oh, okay. What did I say to her? And it was a really easy conversation. It was small, but
Mhm.
I was able to speak to her. So I think student government kind of gave me that push, that
Yeah.
confidence as well to not be afraid.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's nice to know that your voice is heard and you can feel like, oh my gosh, I'm able to talk to the president of the USF.
Yeah.
It's
So
cool.
Crazy.
It's a good talking point too, right? Like you're
Yeah.
you're part of the student body government, like you're actively involved. So, you know, when you're working and talking with folks like President Law, you know, to be able to say, hey, yeah, I'm a member of our student government, right? It's an easy starter conversation starter.
Can we put you on the spot then? Since you mentioned elevator pitch, each of you, what would be your best pitch to our listeners, to students, why they should join student government?
Okay, I did the Muma College elevator pitch a few years ago, so I'll see. My memory's not as good as it used to be, but I've had coffee today, so I'll try. So I'm Sean Schrader. I'm very fortunate to serve as the governor here in our student government at USF. And what's so exciting about what we're doing this year is we're thinking outside of the box of the traditional definitions of what student government is and what we do, and really branching out and thinking about how can we address the needs of students right now here in our community and on our campus. And that's why we're focused on our three-prong approach of connecting students to our local St. Petersburg community for volunteerism and networking and career opportunities for internships and things of that nature, focusing on our environment to make sure we're protecting not only USF St. Pete today, but really protecting it for our future as well. And finally, giving you an actual voice, a tangible voice, whether that be in student services like advocating for parking, dining, or housing changes, or making sure you have a say in how USF St. Pete's future is being developed with something like our University Student Center. And although a lot of the challenges we face today are huge. I mean, they're so complex. It's easy to bring a negative mindset into it. But the thing I go back to is that when we in student government work collectively and when you get involved, even if it's just a little bit of time, you can help make that positive difference happen.
I hope you take this positivity up the next level outside into a different political arena.
Oh, thank you.
I'm not
Thank
sure if you
you.
have other aspirations like that, but
Thank you.
we always need that positivity.
Yes.
Is there
do.
anything you want to add to the pitch or something you would say why students should join?
I'm not going to lie. What Sean said was kind of hard to beat.
Oh, no.
But I just want to add that if you want to get involved, 'cause I'm going to keep repeating it because it's like a very good point. Like, if you want to get involved, don't be afraid to join student government. It's a great place, like Sean said, to network, to meet new people, to have a voice on campus, to be a voice for your fellow students. That's student
Fantastic.
government.
Yeah.
So thank you for the elevator pitch. Speaking
That's
of
great.
how you should get joined, curious, how did you two decide to get involved in student government?
Well, yeah, you can go.
Oh,
first.
thank you.
Go on, please.
Oh, for me, before I came here, when I was in high school in the US, I was like, who should I reach out to? And I think I Googled like student government at USF St. Pete, something like that. And Abigail Bradley Taylor, her name showed up. And I emailed her and I said, oh, Abigail, I'm interested in being a part of student government on this campus. Like, what should I do? And she sent me the email of the SG advisor at the time. And I spoke to him and we had a quick conversation. I just told him a bit about myself, what I was interested in, like what I want to do. And when I came on campus, he kind of made the process much easier because I was scared. Because when I heard student government, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like serious. Like I have to be professional. And you made it so easy. I was so relaxed. And I wanted to, coming from Jamaica as well, like I wanted to be a voice for international students or so they could have someone there. You know, they're like, oh, it's not just people from the US,
Mhm.
someone outside of the US as well. So
Or
I
even
wanted
local,
to-
Florida.
yeah,
I mean, way beyond.
that's true. So I wanted to be there for that as well.
Go ahead.
Oh,
That's
thank you.
amazing. Thank you. Sean?
Yeah, well, it's a funny story. When I'm kind of ancient here at USF. I started in 2019. I think you actually came to one of my get involved.
When I was recruiting.
Yeah, one of the USF success class. That's that first semester you have to take. I think
Oh, okay.
you came to one of those, talked about volunteering with the Ronald McDonald House. I think I remember that. But so in 2019, I had no interest in student government, really not any kind of student life or engagement at all. I was really a poor example. I didn't do anything on campus. And then when COVID happened, I started to pay more attention to just the fact of how much student engagement was hurting. I mean, it was really bad. I mean, just with social media and emails and virtual things being the only way to communicate with people, it just wasn't having that same kind of traction. So I thought it could be neat to run for a Senate position just to get a little bit involved. And then I tried to bring in some of my ties from the Tampa Bay community to student government. And then that's when, some people encouraged me to run for governor this past year, and it's been history ever since. But it's been fun. I try and tell people that too when I talk to them. I try and share my own personal experience of, hey, I get it if you're not interested, but think about the different perspective you can bring and really the tangible change you can make too, which I think is important.
Your voice really does matter, and I think it's important for people to know that.
Yes.
And to me, this is one of the easiest ways to be involved with the quickest impact and demonstrate to prospective employers for internships. And we've already talked about all the different opportunities, but the networking that is readily available to you because you join, these are just important things that employers really want to see. And we, as you already mentioned, get your busy life. It's tough, but with virtual meetings and the different opportunities, all we can say is give it a go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I guess, are we?
Yeah, well, thank you both so much for being here today. Before we head out, we have two final questions that we typically ask our guests. So if you could go back, obviously you both are still in college. Sean, you're in grad school. But if you could go back to your former, before entering college self and give yourself a piece of advice, what would you share with yourself?
Okay, I'll go first.
Yeah.
I'll actually give myself the mantra I said today because before I was more reserved, more shy. So I used to tell myself no a lot of times. So I think I would tell myself to say yes. I would have said yes sooner to take advantage of the different opportunities that I had in the past. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. And to sort of build off of that, you don't always have to take the road that's been made before. It's a lot harder sometimes to make a new road up, of course, theoretically. But it, I think, can be really cool then in the process if you create a new pathway for a new program or a new opportunity, whatever that may be. It can be a little more scary to embark on a new challenge. But if you can solve it, if you can make some progress there, I think it's cool and you can make some new connections.
It seems like student government would allow you to leave a legacy.
Yes.
And that's something that you may or may not have a chance. You're going to take this degree with you, but how did you impact USF in the future?
Yes.
So thank you both. If a student, just like you reached out to the advisor before for student government, if a student is interested in joining or just has questions, and is it okay if they were to contact you? What's the best way?
Yeah, that's great. My email is just SG. It's kind of long, but it's SG-STP-governor@usf.edu. When you start typing all that stuff, and I like how we all use Outlook, so all the names populate. So you'd be able to find it. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions or get students connected.
Okay.
For me, it's my email as well. DACOSTA1@usf.edu. That's my USF email, but if that's too hard, you can always type my name in as well because it does show up. So it's KANDE. It should show up. Yeah.
And is student government on any social media that they could follow or?
Yeah. So we have on Instagram. It's the USF St. Pete SG.
Okay.
Well, USF SPSG.
Yes, and I heard from our marketing person that we've created a TikTok. I don't know all the trends, so I'm going to let them run point on that. But if you go on TikTok, you probably can follow us there. Yeah.
All right.
I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Speaking of social media, you can follow Getting Down to Business on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. Tune in and follow us for more episodes. We'll see you soon. Bye.